Welcome to CARDESIGN.ACADEMY and our Gravity Sketch course. This is going to be the first creative exercise, and I'm going to show you today a couple of ways to very quickly start sketching in 3D. I have my human scale mannequin here in kind of a sports car position. What I thought I'd do today, what I'd like everyone to do, is let's start with a quadcopter aerial vehicle. I thought I'd do something different than a traditional car because a lot of people come in with these sort of preconceived expectations of what a car looks like with four wheels, and we often end up with shapes and forms that are very familiar. So with a manned aerial vehicle, you get maybe the opportunity to try out some different shapes and forms that are less constrained. So I have my human scale mannequin here. I'm going to turn on my mirror plane. And the most familiar way of sketching in 3D is using the ink tool. So the ink tool, it's sort of like drawing with a pencil in space. And so very quickly we can start to create some teardrop shapes and really just start to sketch freely and just explore forms. I'm imagining this thing as being a very aerodynamic teardrop shape. I can kind of edit the curves as I go. We'll get into curve editing later. I'm just starting with something very loose, very sketchy. And being that this is a quadcopter, I'm gonna go ahead and start to sketch out where the propellers might be for this thing. I could imagine this thing being a very almost like the sports car of the sky, like an F1 car that could fly. It could even be a racing series. So starting with very teardrop shapes, kind of a bubble canopy. The key to sketching in VR is to move around the object a lot, because if you try to sketch two-dimensionally in 3 dimensions, it usually doesn't end well. So you end up with a lot of errant lines, and so in this stage I'm being extremely loose, extremely fluid. I'm not exactly sure what this thing's going to look like at the end of the day, but that is one of the quickest ways to quickly generate a concept. And I already know what the scale of this thing's going to be. I'm actually going to take my mannequin and raise him up a little bit. You can see I've got my sketch on a different layer than my mannequin, so I can actually make my mannequin disappear. But I'm just going to raise him up just a little bit. And then I have the sketch on a separate layer. So what I'm going to do now is do sort of like a quick sketch overlay. So I've got my rough sketch, and then I'm going to go in with some cleaner lines. So what I'm going to do is take this layer and make it very transparent, and add a new layer. I'm going to lock this layer. And now I'm going to show you some ways to be a little bit more disciplined in your lines. So first of all, I want to show you something called planar. So right now we have free input. I can draw a line anywhere in space, but with planar turned on, you can see this plane has appeared. And now everything I sketch is going to be on that plane. And that comes in handy because now I have much greater degree of control over the line. Now, this is a horizontal plane. I want to turn it into a vertical plane. So what I do is I grab it with my left trigger, and I'm only pulling the trigger about halfway down. And I'm gonna move it towards the center plane. And as I approach the center mirror plane, it's going to snap to that plane. You can see the green line that's just appeared. And that means it's now snapped to the mirror plane. I'm going to go into the little bit thicker line too. You can see with the thumb joystick, you can make your lines bigger or smaller. So you can do really big lines, or you can do really thin lines. So I'm going to do just a little bit thicker weight of a line. So now I can go in and start to add lines that are a little more disciplined. Now, I can also edit the lines. So if I grab the line, turn on the control points, and maybe simplify the points, I can edit the line quite a bit. And as you can see, because it's a planar line, I can move the controller left and right, and it'll only go on the plane that I've defined for it. So I'm just going to move my points to where I want them. Now I'm going to do another planar line. So I'm going to grab this plane again. This time I'm going to move it out here. So I can define the side of this teardrop shape. And again, I can adjust these points. As you can see, it's a much more disciplined line. And then I'm going to take my plane, my planar plane, turn it horizontal again. You can see as I snap it to horizontal, the blue line shows, the blue axis line shows. So that's how I know it's going to be perfectly level. So I'm going to kind of set that along this water line. I'm going to draw what's called the plan shape, or the top view of this vehicle. Now you can see I want to have more of an angle to it. So what I'm going to do, first of all, I'm going to just tune this line a little bit. And I can also snap it at you can see as I approach the center plane, it snaps. And I can just grow that line so it looks like a continuous line. I'm going to simplify the points a little bit more. Actually, no, I'm going to keep it like that. And then now if I want to rotate this line in a precise way, using my tool belt, I can grab my rotation tool, and I can grab this line right there at the leading edge and grab this axis, and I can just rotate it up a little bit. So now I have that water line that I want. Now I want to get a little more of this dynamic gesture in the line. So I'm going to edit these control points, but first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to turn planar off. So now as I edit this line, it's now no longer planar. So I'm now editing this line freely. I'm just trying to get that little bit of gesture going on there. So now I'm going to go in and define, actually I'm going to define the bottom of the vehicle. Again, this line is in planar mode, so it's remaining true to the plane that it's defined on. Now I'm going to move this plane right to the center mirror plane and define a center line. And you can see it's still a very loose drawing. So now I'm going to turn planar off and I'm going to draw freely. I'm going to draw this canopy. And I'm just going to freehand it. Actually, if I want to do this in one shot, I can basically just draw it as much as I can, let it be sloppy. Let it be a bit messy, and then I can go in, simplify my points, and then just edit them by hand. As you can see, I can add points and I can delete them. Now I think I'm going to move this canopy back a little bit so the driver can see better, the pilot. I'm just adding a few character lines to give it some visual interest. So this is really more of a line-based sketching process. You see, playing with different line weights really gives it a lot of visual interest. So now I'm going to go in and define these circles. They don't look much like circles right now, but we can go in and one thing I can do is I can loop it so the ends join together, so it's a continuous shape. So I just turn loop U on, and yep, I'm just going to reduce the number of points here, get it as round as I can. Let's just add a few more points. It's not going to be perfect, but once we get into actually modeling this thing, there'll be plenty of opportunity to make it perfect. Just trying to get it as planar as possible. So that's a great demo on just the early sketch process, and you can see it's just a very fun and dynamic way to sketch. It's purely a 3D sketch. You can actually take this into Photoshop, and you can airbrush over it. You can do more sketch variations if you want to. However, I prefer to work directly in Gravity Sketch. So that's a brief introduction into just early stage brainstorm sketching in Gravity Sketch. Thanks for watching.